to speak about the impediment of marriage, what makes a marriage valid or invalid. It's a part of the preparation. It will help us to understand better what are the conditions of the marriage. We have two kinds of impediments: the deriment impediment that make marriage invalid if they are there, or the impeding impediments that make the marriage unlawful for the church but not invalid. The church has a power to establish impediments for marriage for the sake of the family, and most of these impediments are shared with the civil society. Like there is no marriage between brother and sister, or between direct cousin, that is deriment, it means it's invalid. Even if they try, the marriage is not accepted as valid. It's for the protection of the spouse, the family, society, for the children. Some are really there to protect the freedom. It means if someone is forced to consent because of fear, the marriage will not be valid. Or it's also there to save the life of people, because if you really want to marry a lady, but she's already married with a man, and you understand that only death can break a marriage, now, even if you kill the husband of this lady, there is an impediment of crime that will make your marriage invalid. If you kill in order to get married with someone, the marriage is invalid because of this impediment of crime. It is also important to go through these impediments. First of all, we can see these impeding impediments, this one that don't make the marriage invalid, but only unlawful. And we should ask for the bishop to be relieved of this impediment if we want to proceed. If someone has made a vow of chastity, now, imagine a girl, she is in a school, she's 15 years old, she has many sisters around, and she makes a vow of chastity for life. It's an impediment. She cannot get married because she has promised to give her life to God. But it's a simple vow made by a private, and the church can dispense from this vow. It's not the same for a solemn vow, that the vow of a sister or the vow of a deacon who has made the vow of chastity, and that makes now the marriage totally invalid. Yes.
Sorry to ask, but what's the difference between, can you have lawful, and unlawful marriage that is valid?
Yeah.
The church is, so what's the definition of valid?
Yes, valid. Yeah, valid for in terms of sacrament. It means the sacrament is fruitful, is valid. Sacrament has happened, and the contract is a valid contract. If it's invalid, there is nothing. There is no sacrament, no contract, no marriage. You are free totally. Unlawful, it's valid, but you have not followed the process, and it's not. Yeah, there is a marriage. You are married. It's fruitful, but the process has not been followed properly. but still the marriage has happened. For the sake of society, we should keep this. Even if we have I give an example of impediment that is unlawful, but the marriage will be valid, is to marry a Protestant. The marriage will be valid if you marry a Protestant in church, you lie to the parish priest, you produce fake documents, you say, both of us, we are Catholic, but the other one is not Catholic, Protestant. We are not allowed by the church to marry a Protestant because the church wants to protect the faith. And now if you marry a Protestant, this Protestant party will not help you to educate your children in the faith. This is why it's not allowed. But still, because a Protestant is a Christian, is baptized, the marriage will be valid. But it is not okay, and the church doesn't like what we call this mixed marriage, even with Protestants, because of the danger for the faith of the children. But now, if a Catholic girl gets married by a Muslim, it cannot be valid at all, because a Catholic can only marry actually before the priest, and that is a condition for the validity of the marriage for a Catholic. And even if the Muslim was to lie, I am a Catholic, produce fake documents, show yes, I am a Catholic, I can marry, no problem, the marriage will be invalid, not only unlawful, but there is no marriage, and she is free to run away if she wants. Yeah.
I've seen a marriage in the new church where the wife is a Catholic, but the husband is not a Catholic, and the children, now the priest married them, and then give a condition that the children must remain Catholic.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yes. The bishop is the one who can give dispensation for a marriage with a non-Catholic. The conditions are always the same. All the children have to be raised in the Catholic faith. And if there is no condition, there is no dispensation. It means the church doesn't accept or should not accept the marriage. That is the condition. This dispensation can be given also for a non-Christian, even for a Muslim. The church can allow, but it requires more certitude from the side of the bishop to give this dispensation. And we have to make sure that the faith will be protected. Yes. Yes, there is, of course, some impediments about sorry. We have also something about the marriage with bad Catholics, It's the same than with mixed religion. The idea is, the goal of the marriage is to populate heaven. If you marry someone who is really a bad Catholic, who doesn't go to church, or is belonging to the Freemasonry or something against the Catholic faith, we should apply the same prudence, because religion is what is most important for the unity, is the last goal we are pursuing together. And now if we are not okay with the goal, the marriage will suffer a day, another day. Because in the life of the family, you have a moment where you have to make decisions for your children. And you as a Catholic, you want a certain kind of decision to be made. And the other party cannot understand these decisions if they are not Catholic or really Catholic. And marriage is a bit difficult, mainly today. Society is not helping for marriage. If we don't take everything in our side, we will suffer. There is an impediment that makes a deriment, that makes the marriage invalid. You can go through them. First of all, the age. For the canon law, a marriage is not valid for a boy under 16 and for a girl under 14. It is the age written by the canon law. Yeah. That can happen in Kenya, you know. But it's to protect. There is also an important impediment, that is impotence. Someone who is unable to perform a marital act. If this impotence is known before the marriage, it makes the marriage invalid, because it makes the realization of the contract impossible. You cannot promise to give what you cannot give. And in the marriage, you promise to give acts able to perform, to give life. Now, if you are unable to do so, you cannot promise to do so, and now the contract is invalid. Of course, it has to be known before, and it has to be absolute. If there is a doubt about it, the marriage can proceed.
And what happens after?
That is now an accident, because if it was not known before, let me tell you exactly. Before the marriage, if there is a doubt about impotence, the marriage can proceed because there is doubtful. After the marriage being contracted, as long as the impotence has not been recognized total, absolute, the spouse can continue to try to get to have a sexual relation. As soon as this impotence has been known clearly, being before the marriage and perpetual, the doctor say this person has always been unable, and there is no possibility that he will become able to perform a sexual relationship. at this moment, the nullity of the marriage is clear. The marriage was not valid. The common life of the pseudo-spouse should stop because they are not married. The contract being null for the reason given in the principle. And that is a principle of natural law. It's even not ecclesiastical principle, it's natural law. Let me read you the principle. The importance, absolute or relative, from the side of the man or from the side of the woman, if it is known or ignored at the moment of the marriage, as soon as it is anterior to the contract and perpetual, cancel the marriage from natural right, law. It is evident that a contract was the immediate object, an act proper to generation is impossible. The contract is also impossible and null. And the impotence is absolute if it makes the act conjugal impossible with everybody, or relative if it's only with this person. Okay. The impotence after the marriage or the sterility are not affecting the validity of the marriage. If the impotence comes after or sterility is discovered, that is different because you can perform the action, but it doesn't work in its effect. That doesn't invalidate the marriage. Impediment of bound, that is, if there is any marriage valid, anterior, and not dissolved by death, that we cannot get married, there is no possibility to get married if your former spouse is still alive, and if the marriage was valid, of course. There is no dispensation ever given on this one to marry again after a divorce. Impediment of disparity of cult, that is the impediment between a Catholic and an unfaithful, someone who is not baptized. This impediment can have a dispensation by the bishop. In the Catholic country, the bishop accepts very rarely for very serious motive. Maybe you have already 10 children together, and now you want to get married, as Bishop said, okay, there is already a family. It seems that the children are also Catholic. It means, yes, let us proceed now, maybe. Impediment of order for the subdeacon, the deacon, the priest, and the bishop. That they have the vow of perfect chastity to make invalid any kind of marriage. Actually, if a priest was trying, he would be excommunicated and by the fact. Also, the impediment of vow, the solemn vow, a sister or a brother sometimes the Holy See can give dispensation for serious reason. Someone maybe has made his vows and he gets sick or he has some problem and the monastery said, no, this one has to go back to the world because cannot live this life. And now you can apply for dispensation of the vows because the monastery has also broken the contract, because you are not able to maybe to stay. Impediment of rapt, that is some abduction. If someone is taken by violence to get married, this violence makes the marriage invalid. The goal of this impediment is to safeguard the freedom. Even if she says yes, marriage is not valid. Impediment of crime, if someone has, so you have different kind of impediment of crime. If someone commits an adultery with a person, the spouse being alive, and you promise to marry this person after the death of the spouse, there is an impediment. The first form, adultery and promise or tentative of marriage. Everybody doing this adultery with a promise is under this impediment. Marriage is not valid. It's to protect the marriage, the existing marriage. Second form, adultery and murder. That is also third form, murder of spouse with cooperation, material cooperation from interested people. That is also, you have some conditions. Consanguinity, of course. In direct line at every kind of degree, a grandfather cannot marry the granddaughter. In direct line, there is no, it's deriment, marriage is not valid. In horizontal line, up to the third degree, inclusively, it means the first degree is the sister or brother, Second degree is the auntie or the direct cousin. The third degree is it's a cousin that is yes. If you go up to your grandparents, you cannot marry with the descendant of your grandparents. Yeah. Affinity also with blood relatives of a deceased spouse. If a widowed spouse remarries his deceased wife's mother, or if his deceased wife's daughter, the marriage is invalid. Adoptive relationship, if one of the future is the adoptive father or adoptive mother of the other, or if he's the adoptive brother or sister, the marriage is invalid. Yes.
In some of your cultures, if your wife dies, let's say she died when she has left with young kids, the sister will come, like the sister of your wife, maybe the younger sister will come and take this. Yes. Is that
And she becomes the wife.
yes?
Yeah, here they say exactly. They say in direct line. Direct line is vertical, okay, with the daughter or the mother. Yes, it's called affinity. It's come from a valid marriage, binding each spouse with all the people from the same blood of his spouse. In direct line at all degree, in a collateral of the second degree only, not the third. But the church can give dispensation easily for this one, for this kind of, but not for direct line, but only for yeah. Yes, for the Catholic Church, it's not allowed to marry the sister of your wife. Why? It's to protect the family setup, that love is not something you could imagine. with the sister of your wife, is to protect the family, to make sure that, family should be a sanctuary where there is no love story, or sexual relationship with a close relative. And this is why it is an ecclesiastical impediment, is to protect the family. It means it's even not possible to imagine that you could have a relationship with a sister of your wife. That is clear. And even if your wife dies now, it's not possible also. It's to protect the nuclear family against, and also to keep the chastity and the purity in the family setup. It's the same for incest. It's the same for adoptive children, because yes, in adoptive children there is no problem of consanguinity, but the problem is to live under the same roof, and purity has to be kept. This is why I say it's just not possible. Don't think even about it. It's not possible. This is why the church is protecting the family setup. But it can give dispensation. And it's an ecclesiastical impediment. And the church could give dispensation, taking care of maybe a particular situation, or even a cultural situation. Say, okay, in this tribe it's accepted, and it's working well, it's not breaking families, I don't know. Maybe the bishop will decide to allow. That is not a problem. It has never been a problem. That is only affecting the spouse himself, not the brother and sister. And we have many families where you have two brothers marrying two sisters. That is okay. Okay, can just go. I don't know if you have yeah. What's happening if someone discovers that there is an impediment? He should open up to the priest in order to see what is to be done. Because we can always ask the bishop to see if he can give dispensation or not. And we have always to do it for mixed marriage or disparity of culture. But what we have to remember is the church doesn't allow mixed marriage. It is it has to be clear. It's not allowed. Maybe in some case we can consider because it's already done, it's too late, but the church doesn't allow. For the sake of the faith and education of children. Yeah. Imagine imagine you get married with someone, but he's already married and his spouse is alive. Your marriage is invalid. But now the spouse dies. Now you can, the impediment has stopped. And now you can validate your marriage by a renewal of consent. that will make now, but you have to do something to renew the consentment of your marriage, and now it will become a valid marriage. If you have not killed the other one. Yeah. Maybe you have heard in Kenya, people are speaking Latin for a few things in Kenya. For a sanatio in Radice, people are speaking a lot about, even in the village, they speak about sanatio in Radice. That is a canonical Latin sentence, no? Sanatio in Radice is to heal a juridic act in the roots. It's a juridical fiction. I imagine your marriage was not valid because the priest had no jurisdiction. Now it's a necessity for you call a priest, but this priest was not from the diocese. He was not recognized by the bishop. He had no jurisdiction. The marriage is invalid. You are married. You have children. Maybe you even don't know that this you are not validly married, but there is a vice of procedure. No, it was not valid. There is, at this moment, a juridical fiction that will remove this impediment and will make the marriage like being valid from the beginning. And all the children are legitimate, and it's a sanatio, you heal in the root. It means by a juridical fiction, you consider that this marriage has been validated. It means and sometimes even the spouse don't need even to know it. I imagine a priest in the village marries two people, and after a few years, he is told by someone from the village, you know, they are cousins. Maybe nobody knows, but for me, I know they are cousins. It means the marriage is invalid. But now they have a family, they have children. The priest knows it's invalid because the impediment has not been, it's there. He could apply to the bishop to get the sanatio in Radice to give dispensation for this impediment. And now the marriage become valid. And even people, they never know. The priest has done that with the bishop. The marriage is okay. Today in Kenya, they use that a lot and maybe too much for people living, two Catholic living in cohabitation, never getting the sacrament of marriage, maybe going through traditional marriage but not marriage in the church. The husband is not interested with the marriage, but they are together, they have children, they are living as a family. The wife wants to receive the sacrament. She goes to the bishop and she asks for a sanatio in Radice. And now they do that quite easily in Kenya. They say, okay, now we consider that your traditional marriage, yes, you should have gone to the church, but we give you dispensation of canonical form. It means we give you dispensation for the fact you have not been in church, and now you are married, and we consider your marriage valid. And now you are married, you can go and receive your marriage. Yes, it is possible, but I think they do it too easily because we should, I think that they do it too easily. Yeah. I don't know if you have questions you wish to ask, because this chapter is a bit short. Maybe you have some question you would like to ask.
And also on the part of the institution. In the Kenyan setup, like in my village, I see mostly the priests abusing that, giving that mostly it is the women who then the husband lands and doesn't concentrate on the family. Do you think maybe the priest should be able to study, at least maybe to study the marriage of the couple, maybe the history of their own
Yeah.
how they do that?
Because, you know, for a marriage to be valid, you must have the intention to stay together for life up to death, and to have only one spouse. And if these people are not married in church, maybe there is a reason. They are not committed for that. And maybe they don't want to commit. It means the marriage is not valid. Even at a natural level, it cannot make a valid marriage, because they don't want to commit themselves. This is why I think they give it too easily. Yeah.
Because I've seen scenario, a woman is given this dispensation, and she's with a man, then she goes to another man, then a new parish priest came, doesn't understand.
Yeah. Yes.
And the condition is fixed, or it is dependent on the priest?
It should be the bishop, not the priest. It has to be done by the bishop. And he should inquire to make sure that at the moment of maybe the traditional marriage or the civil marriage, it was a real marriage, one with one for life, unity and indissolubility. Because if one of these two conditions was not there at the moment, we cannot convalidate something that has never happened. It has to be a real marriage. And if they have never married in church, most probably there is also a reason of a lack of commitment. And now you just convalidate invalid marriage now. And it's not good. It's not right. It's not even valid, actually. Yeah. And you know, if the husband is reluctant to get married in church, you have no security that they will stay together. Because he doesn't want to commit himself. Maybe if he was serious, he should accept to marry in church. That's why it has to be, I think, more prudent than what is happening.
Also, this if the original impediments exist, if there is a cultural disparity, can such a thing happen? Studying the Muslim, now the church is saying you can come and get this.
Yes, I think it's possible to give you have really a serious marriage performed. People are not married because the Catholic party didn't get dispensation, but they are together, they have a family. Now she say, I want to go back to sacraments. She could see the bishop, and he could now give dispensation for this impediment of disparity of cults. And now maybe they reduce the consentment. And yeah, I think that is actually a issue also. Can be.
Is there any impediment to any spiritual affinity, sponsors?
Yeah, not currently. It is still there in this catechism because this one is before 1983. But today, in the past time, you had an impediment of spiritual affinity between the God Father and the God niece or God child, the lady. Yeah. Because of this spiritual bond, also to protect a spiritual relation, the church was saying there is no love there now. It's pure, it's chaste, and yeah. It just disappeared in the new canon law.
So even for the mixed marriages, is it the same after 1943?
Yes. Okay, something has changed there, but they are not asking the conditions as before, I think. I'm not very keen on this point, but I see even in Kenya they continue to ask for dispensation for that, because what they do sometimes they just send a priest in the Anglican Church to be there, and now the marriage has been in front of the priest. So they still feel the need for the validity of the marriage, of the licity of the marriage, to have a priest at least present. But yeah. For us, we keep the old canon law. You have a new canon law in 1983 after Vatican II. Yes, we accept every difference that is totally minor. But when we have something that is major, we keep the discipline of 1917, the former canon law, that is stricter. And for us, we keep that when it's for our own internal discipline.
And also, Father, we have been saints who were canonized and they were divorced. They are canonized.
What do you mean divorced?
They were in marriage and they divorced.
There is no divorce. Maybe separation, but no divorce.
Can't you call them?
Yeah, you can have a separation. Separation is not a divorce. A divorce is to break the bond. That is not possible. But separation has always happened for different reasons. Even Saint Nicolas de Flux in Switzerland is a father of a family, he had many children, and he decided under the guidance of the Holy Spirit to live as an hermit, and he left his family. But the children were taken care of, and he has but that was a special vocation. Yeah. But there is no divorce. Huh? It's just separation. Separation is not a divorce. Divorce is when you pretend to break the bond. Separation, you don't pretend to break the bond. You are just not maybe living together for a reason.
Yeah. Divorce is non-existent in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, there is no divorce. Yes, when there is a valid marriage, only death can break it. Maybe what can happen is a marriage not to be found not valid. And when we speak about cancellation of marriage or annulation of marriage, it's never to break an existing bond. It's to declare that for one of these reasons, the marriage was not valid. Yeah, annulment. An annulment is not to break the bond, it's just to say marriage never happened. You can, but you have to prove it, and that is difficult. It's difficult to prove it. But I imagine a girl is pushed too much by her parents, by everybody to get married to a man, and she doesn't want. The day before her marriage, she wrote a letter, she signed it, she gave to a lawyer, I don't want to get married with this man, but tomorrow I will say yes, because everybody is pushing me, I have no choice. Now she can get annulment for the marriage. That is very clear. Now she has the proof. And that the marriage was not existing. Or today, if you can prove that your husband or your wife had no intention to marry you exclusively or to stay with you for life. And that can really happen with Protestants, because Protestants, in their mind, they can always divorce. You know, if you get married, and now it's very clear between you that if things are not going well, we will redo our life. Okay? That the marriage is not valid. If you can prove that that was your mindset when you got married, your marriage is invalid. If you get married with the idea, if it doesn't go well, we will redo our life, your marriage is not valid. Or if you get married with the idea, we will not get children, we don't want children. Like yes, we get married, we'll have relationship, but we'll always use contraception or abortion, but we don't want children. Marriage is invalid. And if you prove it, my husband he didn't want to have children. It was clear. I found a letter of him written to his parents saying, "Don't worry, I will never have children with this one." You know, the marriage is invalid. Or even if you limit, you say, "Okay, we will have a maximum one child together, but don't ask for more than one child or two children. After it's no, I will not have them with you." Now you limit the contract of the marriage. It becomes another contract, because by nature, the contract is not limited. You are not limited to a certain number of relationships. You know? It's not limited by nature. If now it becomes clear that for one of the spouse, he said, "For me, I have enough children, I don't want any more children, we can get married, but don't expect children from me." Or yes, we'll have one, but no more than one, or two, but no more. The marriage is invalid, because now you have performed another kind of contract. I don't know, it's a short-term contract, but it's not a marriage. You know? And now the marriage is invalid. And if you can prove that, you can get annulment. Yeah. These three reasons. Or you discover that you have married someone who is a polygam and has never intention to marry only you. You know? And now you discover that you are the second wife. Your marriage is not valid. You know? You discover. It has to be well investigated, but no, because the contract is a specific. No, a contract is always very specific, and the condition of this contract is unicity, one man with one woman exclusively. If there is no unicity or no promise of unicity, there is no marriage. And exclusivity, unicity, and indissolubility. If one was thinking, I can always go and marry someone else in case of problem, the marriage is not valid. Or if you refuse the main goal of marriage, that is to refuse to give life, because juridically speaking, the marriage is you give the right to the other, to your spouse. You give a right on your body for acts able to give life. This is what is strictly a marriage in a contract of marriage. And that is not limited. If it's limited, it's another contract. It's exclusive, indissoluble, and unlimited rights.
In the case of age, they say girls above 14 and boys above 16. Because maybe some of these conditions may not be very well understood by them, as it invalidates the
Actually, this is a problem we have with the new canon law, because they have introduced something new in the church as immaturity. And now they have dissolved, in Europe and US, they have dissolved, accepted to annulment of so many marriages because of immaturity. People who contracted didn't know what they're doing. But that is something totally new in the church. And they have cancelled too many marriages for this motive, and it's really subjective. And for us, we have not accepted that, you know. Of course, now, if you can really prove that there is a knowledge that is minimal, you know, you need to know what is marriage. If you say yes, but you have no idea that marriage implicates sexual relation, you cannot promise to give what you even don't know. Now the marriage is invalid. But I remember the case in Switzerland of a parish priest from a diocese who was preparing some traditional Catholic to marriage because of friendship, but he was not the one doing the marriage. The marriage was done by a traditional priest with a Latin Mass. But the priest who prepared this couple, he told them, you know, I am sad not to marry you. You would have my first certainly valid marriage. Because you, I know you want to stay together for life, it's very clear. But all the other marriages I have done, I am not sure that they even want to stay together for life. He was not sure of the validity of the marriage because of this modern mentality that is everywhere, mainly in the Protestant countries, that if you have a problem, you can always divorce and get married with someone else. And for a Protestant, this is why to marry a Protestant is not always a fair deal, you know, because the Catholic Party commit himself very seriously for something indissoluble and exclusive, when the other party is never indissoluble. And now the Catholic is bound when the Protestant party can decide to run away and marry again. And Protestantism has started like that. Anglicanism has started because the Pope refused Henry VIII to marry a new wife, and now he started his own church. And Luther, the founder of Protestantism, has given the right of divorce to people who are asking for it. It means for Protestants, it is really a part of the Protestant mindset to accept divorce and remarriage. This is why it's not a fair deal, because the Catholic Party commits really, but not the Protestant one so much. And now with the modern mentality, it is clear that many people are not validly married because they don't really intend to get married forever. There is room sometimes for annulment.
Who is responsible for giving annulments?
Yeah, the diocesan bishop.
Father, we talked about violently or against your will.
Sorry?
Against your will. I remember having 4 grandmothers. They still doing that. In fact, one was still doing that. That story is how what she actually went through to get married. Because my grandfather was a bit, he delayed to marry because he was there at tea farm. So the brothers called him and then they identified the girl. And then they sent strong men to this girl's place and picked her with caning and everything for 3 days. They locked her, put some guards there just to make sure that she doesn't go back to that place. And apparently she told that this was happening those days. That's how guards were getting married. You know, you send boys, they carry them on the shoulder and things. So, so I'm just trying to imagine, is it a situation where I can go and tell her that she was married against her will?
Yes, of course, it's not a human action now. No, and Catholic Church has always been fighting for the freedom of marriage very seriously. And now there is no freedom. There is for a human act to happen, you need freedom, and that is just sequestration and.
This is good. My maternal grandmother was told
Actually, they come and hot on his very hot hours. Then they beat you and say, let's go, you're married, let's go.
Yeah. But that is a pagan setup. The church has been fighting that, of course.
Divorce. Does divorce in the Catholic Church mean the same thing or it to mean legally?
Okay, divorce doesn't exist in the Catholic Church. We don't.
Okay.
This word doesn't exist. We have only separation or annulment because marriage never happened. There is no divorcing. But or you say this marriage, you were never married actually, and you must separate because you are not married. That's annulment. Actually, it's not annulment because nothing happened. There is no contract. But there is no divorce.
The reason why I'm asking is, okay, assume you have 2 people who settle down with the intention of staying
Together
forever.
Yeah.
Maybe raising. But somewhere along the line, they separate according to the Catholic Church.
Separation.
They separate.
Yeah.
But now legally, somebody tries to file.
Okay. Yes, that is something possible and acceptable. Also, if you have good reason to do it, it's what we call to get the civil effects of divorce. The bond is there. As a Catholic, you are not allowed to marry again, but to protect your properties, to protect yourself, to protect, you decide to look for the civil effect of divorce. And that is acceptable. You should accept because as long as you understand that you are still married, actually, according to God. You are still married, you cannot get married anew, you are bound, your spouse is there, but because you are not living together, because you have to protect your properties, I don't know which reason, or because the other side is filing for divorce, and you say, okay, yes, do what you want, But you don't consider the bond is broken in the sight of God. But because the civil law recognizes divorce, you can get the civil effect of divorce. Yeah, that is possible.
Along the same lines of separation, and you can get to the civil effects of divorce. How does it affect you having access to the other sacraments, confession, receiving holy?
Okay. When you are separated, usually you should, it should be, traditionally, it should be the bishop to give you permission for separation. You don't do it from your own point of view, because now it's totally subjective, and maybe you can just run away for no reason, and you should just be told, just stay at home and carry your cross, maybe, you know. This is why it should be judged to authorize a separation. But there are some cases where you don't need authorization. It's case of adultery. You can move out from your own because you have been cheated in something that is too intimate, and now you have the right to move out from your own. Yeah. But usually, and it's actually even prudent not to move out of marriage without even the priest checking if it's wise or not, you know. And even in case of adultery, it's not always wise to break a family. Maybe it's better to forgive and continue. You know? But the catechism is clear. If you look at this point, it's allowed to. But usually when we allow separation, it's because of the violence is too high.
Violence, can the spouse make the decision themselves?
No, I think you should ask, because yes, it's better to ask. Let me just tell you the. Yes, because you know when you contract a marriage, you get the obligation to live together. It's an obligation of marriage to help each other and to live together. It's a duty. Even for the civil law, you are forced to live together. You are bound to live together, to help each other, to support each other, and to take care of your children together. That is normal, and it's a contract of marriage. But is there some circumstances where, without breaking the bond of marriage, the spouse can separate? First, common accord, if there is no danger of incontinence for one or for the other of the spouse. It means if one will not be put in a danger of adultery, because so it has to be a common decision where both should agree, knowing each other. Now, common accord, if there is no danger of losing the fidelity, they can separate for a while, even for a long time, for some business, for traveling, for going abroad to work, for the soldiers and the sailors, yeah. Even forever. Now, with dispensation of the sovereign pontiff, if you want to join a monastery, both of you want to become monks, and And now you can get this dispensation from the Holy See. Number two, if there is an adultery from one of the spouse, the innocent spouse has the right to separate from his own authority, and even forever. However, even if the innocent spouse has this strict right to separate, he should consider what is more prudent to do. Consideration of equity and charity. And also sometimes the one who has committed adultery has been maybe pushed also by the innocent part, who was not so good at home. Some equity can also be applied. For the innocent spouse to use this right, you have 4 conditions. One, it has to be a formal adultery, not only speaking with someone, but sexual action with another person. That the innocent spouse is not the cause of that, making the life impossible at home, Number 3, that this adultery has not been forgiven expressly or tacitly. Tacitly, if you have got some other relationship after that, it means you have forgiven. And now you cannot run away now. If you have accepted a relationship, you have forgiven. This pardon is presumed if after 6 months the innocent spouse has not expelled or left And the fourth condition, the innocent spouse should not be guilty of the same fault. He is not innocent now. You can see that is where, in case of adultery from your own authority, with these 4 conditions, you can move by yourself. Some other causes authorize a spouse to ask the bishop to get a temporary separation, and when the cause are evident and there is even danger to wait the decision of the bishop, you can go from your own authority. Of course, if you feel in danger to be killed, you run away and you go to your mother's place, and you will solve the problem later. Don't wait for the bishop to answer your letter. And now let us see what the Catechism is saying. If one of the spouse give his name to a Catholic group, becoming a Freemason, and exposing the face of the spouse or the children, like that. Your husband has become a Protestant pastor, and now he will teach your children these things. Now you are Catholic, you take your children and you go home. Because I don't want this man to spoil the faith of your children. But that you should ask the bishop, and the bishop should even encourage you to do it for the protection of the faith, because this is a contract of marriage. It has to protect the faith. If one of the spouse raise the children out of the Catholicism, can do the same. And my children are in danger with this man, they will lose their faith. Let me ask separation. Can see the church is always putting first the sake of the souls and the salvation. Number 3, if one of the spouse has a criminal conduct, like perpetual drunkenness, or if one of the spouse puts seriously in danger the soul or the body of the spouse. And now this is what is happening also many times. It's yes, you don't want to live together with this person because he or she is sleeping with other people and you don't want to get sick, you know. And now, because of these sicknesses, it's a reason to not to stay together. Or the last is bad treatments, beating, makes the common life too heavy, persecution, serious persecution, refuse to give what is necessity for life, or even arguments, frequent arguments that makes the life impossible at home. All this, but it should be, it's better to make them evaluate by someone. At least you go back to the priest who has married you and you speak with him and you say, this is the life, what should I do? And now the priest is now someone giving you a third party advice that is objective, you know. So yes, I think you should just go back. But it's good to ask. Actually, even yesterday, a lady asked me, and we spoke many times about that. Her husband is really a drunkard, and now when she tells him, you know, if you continue like that, I will leave you, you know, because it's too much. Now he stops for 1 week. And now she told me, Father, do you think I can really leave just to teach him a good lesson? And now I'm sure he will change now. You can see the intention is even good now. She wants him to change, and it's for her a way to push, you know. I cannot, he's drunk every day. He has to stop. I told her, yes, do it, but do it well, because now he has to promise to follow a program, to go for rehabilitation, I don't know. But if it's just a promise, after 2 weeks, he will start again. No. If you take this step, make it work now. Yeah.
Just a question. So, if two people, Catholic, again, are wedded, and as they move on with life, one of them stops being Catholic and maybe becomes a Protestant or an Anglican, just like the example given of the gentleman who takes a lot of alcohol. In this case, can the spouse who is still Catholic say these are grounds for separation?
Yeah. This is what's the context. Yes, but now it's because the faith of someone is in danger, and probably the faith of the children. Yeah.
And in case of I know you say there's no divorce in the Catholic Church, but you have separation, and when you're separated, you cannot remarry.
Yeah.
And what happens in case of an annulment?
If there is an annulment, you can remarry because you have never been married. You are free, actually. You have never been married. In case of annulment, the truth is you have never been married.
Time doesn't matter. You're married for 30 days, but the bishop found that there is ground for annulment.
Yeah, there is no marriage. You have never been married. And you are not allowed to stay together, actually, even if you want.
Even if you had children.
Because you are not married. You have to separate. Even if you want to stay together. You discover your brother and sister. And you love each other a lot, yes. And now the bishop says, no, separate now. Your brother and sister, there is no way you stay together. You separate. You are not married.
But it can be misused,
How?
the process. Because I can just say in his conversation, he proved that he was not committed to
You know, today it's quite easy to get because they are a bit lax. But you know, it's a court case with the diocese. There is a judge for marriage, and you have an advocate who is defending the bond. And the role of the advocate is to defend your marriage. And you have to prove beyond any doubt. And if you cannot prove, you stay together. And this is why I said she wrote a letter the day before and she gave to the lawyer. Now you can prove. But if you write the letter and you don't give to the lawyer, it has no, you can write it the day you want the letter. It has no value. No, it was very difficult to get. And even you had the case of someone being convinced not to be married, unable to prove it, forced to stay in the relationship, but not allowed to have a relationship. Because he knows that he is not married. But he cannot prove it. And now the church cannot accept to give annulment. It was tough, it was difficult, and you had really to prove, and you had a lawyer defending the bond of marriage, and you had to convince beyond all doubt. It was difficult to get. And the goal is to protect marriage, the institution, not children to be abandoned because it becomes too easy to, I was not mature, I was only 22, you can get married at 14. Yeah. The goal of that, is really the sake of the children, is to protect the institution, to allow children to have a father and a mother, and to protect the family, to protect the children. This is why there is no divorce, because if you start giving one exception, in the main law of existence, there is no exception. Because when you start opening a door, when they introduced divorce in France, in the civil law, in the 19th century, you had to go to court, and it was very difficult to get divorced. You had really to prove that you were a beaten woman, your life was horrible, and it was very difficult to get the divorce. Today, if you have been separated 2 years, the divorce is automatic. It means you can see how, when you start opening this exception, the flow breaks everything. And now who is suffering? The children. And now the criminality, when you have children from a single parent, the rate of criminality is so high. I can tell you in 10 years, we have many problems in Kenya of criminality because of all these single women who have raised boys and without the presence of a father, And this is why it's maybe one couple can suffer, but it's better one couple suffer than the whole society is devastated by the effect of divorce. Yeah. Well, there is something I want to tell you that because you will understand really what is the mindset of the Catholic Church. In case of separation, who should be keeping the children? Because if you go to the bishop, say, we have to separate, it's not going well, who is going to keep the children? In case of separation, education of the children must be given to the innocent spouse if he is Catholic, or to the Catholic spouse, even guilty, if the other part, even innocent, is not Catholic. salvation of the souls. The man is a Catholic, but okay, he has committed adultery, he has done something wrong. The woman doesn't want to stay with him. She is maybe an Anglican. But when they married, with disparity of cult, the promise was clear: the children will be raised in the Catholic faith. And now the children have to stay with the father because the father is Catholic. Yes, he's a sinner, but actually all Catholics are sinners, you know, and everybody is a sinner, you know. But because of the faith of the children, let the children stay with the father. Yes, he's guilty, but he's Catholic, and he will maybe commit himself. Of course, it's a judgment, you know. It can go another way also. If the father is responsible, you know, can go another way. But I like still to give this answer because you understand the goal of marriage is to receive children from God and to give them back to God, and not for them to get lost because they have not been educated properly.
But that is the point like the civil law. Civil law normally says that it's the man, children stay with the man.
Yeah, but civil law is limited in terms of salvation of souls.
Some even say that if you have 4 kids, now you divide. The father goes with 2.
Yeah. But of course, the civil law can apply and can also force people to follow a judgment of the civil law. In this case, we just have to follow the civil law because they have power to implement. You know. But that is to give you the spirit of the church. Always, no, the first question is to care for the faith. Yeah. And that gives you the mindset of the marriage. Yeah. Is it allowed to be a witness of the best man in a pseudo marriage? It means someone is divorced and marry again somewhere? No, you cannot be the best man of such a marriage. Yeah. You have to refuse. Because it's an adultery, actually. So this person is married with someone. You cannot just go to a new marriage of this person. Okay. I think it's a bit late. Don't know if you have other questions. Maybe it's time to. Yeah, last one.
These challenges come when the children are of age, say fidelity, violence, and the children allowed to approach the perpetrating parent.
Are allowed to reproach to?
The parent that maybe is perpetrating the vice, and the children allowed to maybe question.
No, there is a age where a child is not anymore a child, he's also an adult, and he can care for his parents and speak with them also. Yeah. And yes, it's good to care even for your parents, you know. If they do something wrong, we can speak. After, we have to keep a certain kind of respect, and we don't have authority on our parents, but still charity is there. We should speak, find a way. Yeah.